One. Hey everybody, this is Dave Cohen from Guitar Tales, and we have a really special guest today. And rather than me use my own words to describe her, I'm going to use a guy named Adam Levine's words. This is the next great female rock singer. I'd like to thank Moriah Formica. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
We are thrilled to have you. And if you will indulge me, I will tell the backstory about how we got you on the show, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for those of you who don't know Moriah, she has 3.2 million views of an amazing, amazing cover of Heart's Barracuda. So that was working its way around the internet. It came on my feed. I put it on our Guitar Tales page. And then Scott Guitarist Stengel says, I'm going to promote it too. So he did. And then he said, I'm going to try to get this woman on the show. And I said, good luck with that. And somehow he found your dad's email, who's your, I would imagine he's your agent or manager, right?
Yeah.
Or he's just your dad.
I know, he made up this gross word. It's called dadager. That's like what he calls himself. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hate that word.
Dadager. Well, you know, all right, so here's what's even worse. So Scott, our publicist, who's in a rock band and he plays guitar and all that, he's a pharmacist by day and he's a guitar player by night. He's guitarmacist. So your dad is, yeah. So your dad, he's either in good or bad company. I'm not sure which, but one of the two.
I like that fusion though.
Yeah, so it's very cool. So we get an email string started and your dad was really gracious and he said, sure, that sounds really good. And our long-term goal is to get you into the studio over at Riverview Studios, where we actually have a really nice camera shoot. We'll get you.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
We would love that. And but in the meantime, obviously, we're doing our fireside chat. And then your dad writes this email asking me if I had ever worked at a specific law firm, and I said I sure did. And it turns out that your dad and I had many cases together against each other in my day job, where I am a nursing home abuse attorney. And I literally, and I'm not just saying this, I consider him the most talented adjuster I've ever dealt with in my 30-year career as an attorney. And he had some nice things to say about me as an attorney. So it was very cool. So it's this whole small world thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Sorry, that was a hard reference. But
no, I love it.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start with you, but maybe what we could do, I know there's a backstory. We'll make some fun of your dad. Apparently he bought you a really cheap guitar when you were 6 years old with a built-in speaker, right?
Yeah, so it was from Target, correct.
That's great. And you basically locked yourself in your bedroom with a Bon Jovi album and an Aerosmith album at age 6, and you learned them on your own?
Yeah, I did. You know, now my dad always raised me around, you know, 80s music and classic and stuff. And he always had like either, you know, like the Music Choice on demand things.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he would always have like the 80s hair metal, or he would have 80s pop-up videos on, or he would have, you know, Metal Mania or that metal show. Like it would just always be on. And I just remember being so fascinated with the guitar players. I was just like, you know, I would see Richie Sambora, I would see Joe Perry, and I was just like, wow, I want to be like those guys. That is so cool. And obviously I loved music since I was, you know, born, basically.
That's amazing. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab the pooch who's interrupting our show. If you could hear him. Give me 1 sec. Just stay right there.
It's all good.
Okay, thank you. I'm coming back. This is the first for Guitar Tales. This guy was interfering with our show.
Oh,
yeah, this is Bo. That's Bo right there.
Oh my gosh.
Screwing up our show. Yeah, he is a puppy. I've had him for 2 days.
My gosh.
There he is. There's Bo. My son Max said that he will make our show more popular.
She's not wrong. He is so cute.
There you go. There's Bo.
Don't puppies make everything more popular?
They do. So let me ask you this. So you're 6 years old. I mean, like, you know, my kids, not to make fun of them, You know, they're just misbehaving. You know, we're trying to get them to eat, trying to get them to sleep through the night. You're sitting
Right.
in your room without it, and this is without someone teaching you, right?
Yeah.
And you're learning these albums. That's like a Mozart kind of thing. Have you ever thought about that? That you had the innate ability to do that?
Um, I mean, I thought about it, I guess, but it's just weird because it's like whenever you're in your own body, like you just think, oh,
This
I'm
is
just
what I
me.
do.
I'm just, yeah, like so you think, and so it's like I went a long time without knowing that it was really abnormal. Like I
Right.
didn't, I didn't really understand until, I started telling people that, and some people are just like, no, there's no way. And I'm just like, no, you don't understand. I'm not a liar. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
It's
and
crazy though. And
yeah,
is it for you? So like right now, as far as I can tell, we're both breathing, right? I'm breathing, you're probably breathing. Is it like that? That, something that you don't really think much about, but you do it? Because you
yeah.
picked up a
No, it's
guitar.
exactly like that. It was just, I picked it up because I just love Joe Perry, first of all. Joe Perry is
Yeah,
my number one guitar.
he's wonderful. Yeah.
He's my favorite guitar player, and he is my number one inspiration when it comes to guitar.
Yeah. I
Um,
saw the Joe Perry project at Six Flags Great
oh,
Adventure
really?
in Jacksonville way
Oh my
back in
gosh.
the day. They were horrible, by the way. Horrible. And I love Joe Perry, but they were horrible.
No, you know what though?
Yeah.
I actually have one of their albums, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's.
There was just no focus.
I was listening to some of the songs, and I was just like they're not that they're terrible songs, but it was just like you can't go from most of the whole entire reason people buy that is because Aerosmith. They love
Yeah.
Aerosmith. They're like, oh well, I'm gonna listen to this guy, and you buy it, and you just go from listening to Aerosmith albums, and then you're just like, all right, cool.
Yeah. It wasn't, it didn't take, I think he needs to be with Steve and Steve needs to be with him. Like,
What was that?
he needs to be with Steve and Steve needs to be with him, basically.
Yeah, no, exactly. The Toxic Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just kind of, it was something that I just did. I still don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why, but I was always drawn to music, even when I was a little baby. Like my mom, those little swings that the babies can rock back and forth in to go to sleep and whatnot. And my mom would put me in that swing, and I would not go to bed until my mom would put these little headphones on my head with Flute by the Sea or Guitar by the Sea.
Really?
And that's the only thing that I could go to sleep to when I was a baby.
Well, the interesting thing to me is that you started out, I don't think, look, no one knows what the hell a 6-year-old is doing. But you're starting out as a guitar player, and at that point, no one has yet figured out that you've got pipes,
Yeah. And it wasn't for, a little while. Like I didn't really start singing until I was 10.
And first of all, that is the most hysterical sentence ever. When you think about how compressed this amazing career is, the sentence is, yeah, I didn't even start singing till I was 10. Like, how many people have started a music career multiple years before they're 10? Just think about that. It's amazing. And you were gigging by age 9, right?
Yeah. And, like I said, I never could grasp because I remember like people were I didn't even know that I could sing until my cousin had her graduation party here at my house, and I was just so shy and so timid. I didn't say anything to anyone. I always carried myself low. My posture, my shoulders were always
Right.
down, and I'm still kind of like that. But my career has kind of
Boosted your confidence.
Right. Well, it's boosted my confidence, but it's also given me, you have to know how to talk to people, you know.
I saw on one of, we were researching you, and there was a video of you playing in front of a crowd, and there was an issue. I don't remember if it was a guitar issue or an amp issue, but you couldn't get the sound out, and you had to sort of talk to the crowd a little bit when one of the roadies came over and connected you, and there was a level of confidence and maturity that was much older than your years. You at least on the stage, you exuded some confidence. I noticed.
Well,
Where some people might have fallen apart.
Right. And I guess it's like something that I've learned, I guess, is like you cannot go on stage and expect everything to be perfect, because if you do, that's what's going to make you have a meltdown. For me, at least, that's what's going to make me have a meltdown. If I'm like, okay, we've rehearsed for this for months, everything's going to be absolutely perfect, because nothing ever is perfect.
No, and rock isn't perfect either.
Right, rock isn't perfect, and there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be batteries that die in the middle of your show in your guitars. There's going to be, and so, but all you do is just learn from them, you learn, what can I take from this show? Well, change your battery before every single show in your guitars, or, charge your wireless before you go on stage. Don't change strings if they're old, so that they don't break on stage, because I've had that happen too. So yeah, I think I don't know what video it was that you're watching or from what show that was, but I assume it was a little bit more recent. But
probably, but
yeah, it's just at that point, I'm just kind of like, if something goes wrong on stage, I can't really do much about it. I have a show to perform, and I have all these people that are, and I think the biggest thing was learning that it's not like people are gonna leave or be pissed at you because there were technical difficulties. I think that one of my biggest problems was, oh shoot, they're gonna think I'm so stupid and they're gonna laugh at me and blah blah blah. But all you gotta do is talk to the crowd, admit the problem, say, hey, this just happened, and then just tell jokes or do whatever, like that's all you can do.
And that's kind of what you did. And I think that the reason you might not remember is it was so minor that I doubt it even registered in your mind. It was maybe a 10-second issue where someone came up and fiddled with a chord or something like that.
Right.
But it's funny. Your career is so amazing. I'm going to fast forward us 10 years now. So when you're 4 years into your career at age 10, it just cracks me up. So now now you're 17. And you end up on The Voice. And I told you, and I told Scott, I hadn't seen that one yet. I watched it just about a half hour ago. And I got goosebumps. I mean, here you are. You were, 16 when you're welcome. You were 16 at that time, I think?
I was, yeah. I was 16.
And I forgot which Heart song you did. Was it Crazy on You?
Crazy on You, yeah.
Yeah. And you're just watching, and everyone turned their chair on. And then they all fought for you, right?
Yeah.
Who did you end up picking? I don't think the clip told us.
I ended up picking Miley. And it was because now everybody who watches that show, I mean, I'm going to be honest, before I went on the show, I never watched it just because
You're a rock and roll person.
Yeah, I'm a rock and roll person. I mean, I love other types of music, but that's not about music really. It's about a television show. That's what it's about. Because that's what it is. And so, but anybody who is familiar with the show or anything, so one could make the assumption that if anybody's going to be rock on there, it's Adam Levine. He's the closest to rock that there is on that show.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to pick Adam. And I had it in my mind, months and weeks before I even, went. When I got on the stage and they started talking, I just, first of all, they don't actually show how long they talk for. I mean, I'm telling you, when they were sitting there arguing for like 20 minutes, probably.
Oh, really? The clip makes it look like it's 35 seconds.
Yeah, no, literally like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm telling you, Miley Blake kept on saying, he's like, well, do you ever shut up to Miley? Because she just wouldn't. First of all, she was the first person to turn for me.
She was. Yep.
You know, she knew that she wanted to work with me before I had to hit this big giant note, you know? So I really respected that, but I do understand the other judges turning when they did. Or the other coaches turning when they did. And also, you know, she made the point that, hey, you know, I got my start in this industry when I was younger than you, and I could really help you navigate through this industry as a young woman. You know, you're only 16 and stuff like that. So that was kind of what really, I just had more of a connection with Miley, I felt like.
It's funny because either, you know, I was getting ready for tonight, so I don't remember if the clip didn't tell us or if I didn't watch long enough, but as I left it, I didn't know. And I thought it would sort of
I'm sorry.
down. No worries. Look, I left to get a dog. It's all good. But I thought it would be between those two. It made the most sense.
Right.
You would either go with someone you might have the most connection with, or you would go with someone who's a little more rock. And he's probably 60% rock, if that.
Right.
I mean, he has the rock ability, but in terms of the way, you know, he's handled his career, he's more about pop, you know, than rock.
Right. Just, yeah.
Very talented, but he's not a rocker by choice, I suppose.
Right.
So that's I would consider that to be a huge break, right? How was it working?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then so you would go behind the scenes and you would work with Miley. What was that like?
It was good. You know, she's very cool. She's very, very sweet. She's very funny. She really does care about her team and that we're comfortable. Like, I remember we have to go to wardrobe a couple times a week to pick out our everybody's assigned a stylist, and because in the beginning you got to put a Pinterest board together with your style and stuff, so they go out and shop for you specifically. But they kind of put the outfits together and ask if this is you know, oh, you like this? I really think that this would be good. And they take 3 pictures of 3 looks, and the producers pick which one you wear. So you don't really get much of a huge stay, but
it's already taking you away from your rock and roll sensibilities. That little fact is already pulling Moriah away from her rock and rollness, right?
Right.
At least a little bit.
But you know what? But here was what I really respected about Miley is I saw her. I think it was for the battles, and we were rehearsing, and I saw her that day, and she was like, hey, you know, because I noticed the glam team that day, they just let me pick out whatever I wanted. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is new. So I got to wear some of my own clothes. And she was like, yeah, I told the glam team not to really touch you that much today because I just love, you know, how original you are and true to yourself that you are. So I wanted you to kind of be comfortable in your own skin. And so I really respected that. It kind of showed me like, hey, she does care about her team and how we feel. So it was cool to work with her.
That's wonderful. And I would guess, and this is where I'm definitely inviting you to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like the next really big thing that happened to you were these videos going viral. Is that the next really big thing, or is there a step I'm missing in between? Because that was 2017 that you were on the Voice, right?
Yeah. So I would say the next really big thing, for me at least, for me personally, as a rocker, was playing 2 shows with Joan Jett and Hailstorm.
That's gigantic. That's one I missed.
Yeah, so that was a life-changing experience for me. It was amazing, you know. It was just an amazing lineup, and Lizzie from Hailstorm made a really cool post a few weeks before and was like, you know, we're going to be taking the stage with not only the past of rock and roll, right, and the present of rock and roll, but now we're with the future of rock and roll, and tagged me in the picture. And because the lineup was really cool, it was me and then Hailstorm and then Joan Jett. Yeah, and the night before was me, Dorothy, and then Joan Jett.
That's gigantic. I mean, Joan Jett, Big deal. I have a buddy of mine back in the day, saw her, I think it's CBGB's, very late
Mm-hmm.
70s, waited for her outside of the bar, met her, and said, "Can you sign my arm?" So she signed his arm.
Mm-hmm.
He then went right to a tattoo parlor and had it tattooed into his arm.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
So to this day, he's got this Eric Danville. I'll throw his name out there.
That is so great.
Yeah, and Dandy he goes by, but yeah, he has a gigantic, and I'm showing for the camera. He's got probably a 5-inch tattoo of Joan Jett's nude right on his forearm. When no
Oh
one
my
got
God.
tattoos, you know, that was before.
Yeah,
people-
right. Oh,
you
that
know.
is so amazing.
Yeah, so that's huge. So you're playing with one of your heroes. I would imagine in the world of heroes, Annie Wilson probably.
I really love Ann Wilson's voice. She's amazing, and I really respect her. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are one of my heroes, but they definitely have paved the way for some of my
Right.
heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
Who are your female guitar slinging heroes?
My well, Lizzie Hale.
Yeah.
Who else? I wouldn't say that these two are my heroes. Like Lizzie Hale is my hero, but I really love Orianthi and Nita Strauss. I think that they're both so ridiculous. And aside from their guitar playing, it's just their vibe. Like they're just cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They have a rock and roll vibe.
Right. It's a rock and roll vibe, but it's also like I guess a rock and roll vibe, yeah. Because the rock and roll vibe is very much, you know, I'm myself. I don't care. I have my own style, you know.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, you stand in a place that is not populated by that many women to sort of have a real rock and roll sensibility on electric guitar as a guitar player. You know, there's a lot of really wonderful sort of rock edged women singers who've got that sort of, you know, the nice rough gravelly voice, which you have too, but to be a guitar slinger at the same time puts you in a pretty rarefied air. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you know, I'm just very thankful and grateful that I was given that.
You know, it's funny, when I watched again the clip from The Voice, and Blake Shelton, I think it was him, he said something funny. He said when God's sitting there putting out the talent dust, he screwed a few people over and he put too much into your bin.
Yeah.
He said, "You're not fair to the other guests," and I thought that was kind of cool. So you played with Joan Jett. You got to meet her. I did see that picture of you and her. I think it's on your page.
Yeah.
What is that, like maybe 2018, something like that?
Yeah, I think, no, it was 2018. Sure. Definitely the year after.
And then you did the video that caught our attention, mine and Scott's, Guitar Assist. Well, that you played that. It was almost like a Zoom one because you had a drummer in a different location, right?
Yeah.
When was that taped?
And
is that brand new?
Only, you know, maybe 2 months, a month ago, maybe. It wasn't, you know, it was recorded maybe, only like a month ago.
So it was during the quarantine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because that makes sense. So in the last month, 3.2 million views.
Yeah.
That's beyond gigantic. And certainly that's what connected us together. Really an amazing performance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, both from a guitar and a vocal point of view, you performed it great, but in rock and roll style, you still made it your own. You know, you weren't just trying to emulate, at least as far as I could tell, what they do. You were making it Mariah's, right?
Right. Yeah. And you know, that's what I try to do, because I think that everybody looks at a song and no matter how much they love it, they maybe hear something differently, or they maybe would change the guitar tone a little bit, or
Right.
maybe they would, you know, sing a little bit more gravelly or rough on one part than the original.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there are a few, differences, but that's the thing. It's because, look, I understand that in a lot of people's opinions on that song, I sound very, very similar to Ann Wilson.
Right.
Which I don't take as a bad thing. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think some people, were like, there were a couple, because there's always going to be a few people
you're about to tell us about something negative, right?
Yeah, like
some haters out there.
There are a couple people that, think that, the thing is these girls are good, but you're not going to get anywhere by copying people, and you got to write your own songs. So, I'm like, first of all, it's just embarrassing how ignorant you look, because you could have taken 2 minutes to Google who I was and see that I have several originals.
Yeah.
Second, I really don't try to sound like it's just that
it's the same song. In other words,
right.
That song is.
So I don't,
yeah.
I guess my take on that is like, people always talk about, hey, try to make a cover your own. And I'm just like, well, here's the thing. It is my own, but I'm not doing this cover because I want to sound just like me. I'm doing it because I love the song and I want to do it justice. And why wouldn't you want to be as close as possible to a song? You want to do it justice,
yeah. And I agree. And, the funny thing is you gave us a great segue, because we have a reptile near you. I'd like you to grab the reptile you just put down. She's like, what do you mean reptile? The guitar with the alligator skin, or the reptile skin.
Oh, because I was going to say, because I do have several reptiles. So I was like, oh, you want me to bring out one of my snakes? And I was like, so I thought that's what you meant.
Yeah. So as you're getting the guitar, you and I chatted a little bit before we started taping. And I said, what do you want to play? You want to play an original, or you want to do the hard? And you said, no, I'd like to play one of my originals. And I thought, so before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about your reptile there. You could show it for the camera. You're an ESP endorser.
Yes.
It's got very cool reptilian skin on it right there, which is really neat. That's a gorgeous guitar, cool looking pickups on it. I like the black covers, the charcoal covers on there. Very nice. Let's see the headstock on it. Very nice. That's a good looking guitar. And you have a limited coming your way relatively soon, right? They're making one special just for you.
Yeah, that's the next thing I'm gonna get, because right now I have 2 LTDs, which is, they're both by ESP, but I want one of the real, the real ESP, just perfectly crafted, and I want a guitar that's catered to me specifically. I want to be able to order a guitar for me. So yeah, I'm gonna have a custom ESP. It's gonna be my next guitar that I'm gonna get.
That's great. And, so let's hear a little bit. You have an original. Now, do you want to just show us the chords? Do you want to sing with it? We'll do anything you want. Understanding before you answer that we talked before, Zoom, the audio quality of Zoom stinks. Nothing against Zoom, but it stinks.
Right.
So not much it won't come through the way it will when you eventually do it in the studio. But we thought we'd let people get a little taste of what you can do. Right.
Maybe I'll play. Would you mind if I played along with the track a little bit?
Sure.
Really low. I'll have the track very, very low so that people can actually hear what I'm doing.
Sure.
So this song is called Better Off Alone, and this is one of my latest singles. And I just thought it would be fun to play just because it's a little bit more adventurous than, like, guitar-wise than some of my songs. There's just a little bit more movement. So yeah, I just figured this would be a cool song to play.
All right, whenever you're ready, I'm going to kill my mic to get all of our bandwidth in your direction. So I'll stop talking right now. So I'm going to jump in right now. The Zoom cannot hear you.
Dang it!
So I figured I'd jump in. It's not your fault. It's Zoom's fault. So we were able to see your great playing, but Zoom was kind of compressing it so much, so it didn't come through great. But I was able to see enough. There's such confidence in the way you're attacking your guitar, which I think is super cool. You know, it's anything but dainty, you know, which I think is really neat. I apologize for cutting you off in the middle, but you know, just
that's okay. Why? No, I actually appreciate it. If the sound wasn't coming through, I don't want to keep playing.
I know. I was sort of debating it, but you actually foreshadowed that when you said at some gigs, rock and roll doesn't always play out the way you want it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the bad news, is that Zoom could not handle you. But the good news is that we'll get you as soon as COVID is lifted and all the precautions, and hopefully we all stay safe. We really want to get you into studio where we'll get super great sound. I mean, when we do a show there, it's like it's a professionally produced video, so you'll actually great place to put out some of your music. Let me ask you this: if people want to find your music and find your videos, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way to find my music would be to go on any streaming platform, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, all that stuff. And then videos, YouTube as well. My channel's just Moriah Formica. And all my social media handles are all the same. It's just my name, Moriah Formica, with an O.
Yeah. Right. Not Moriah.
Right.
And I pronounced your last name wrong. I was about to yell at your dad because I thought your dad and your mom that Moriah Formica. You know, but Moriah Formica sounds perfect. So
I almost don't even blame people, because there is Formica, they think that the countertop, you know. Right.
That's right. So as we start to wrap up right now, what's going on next in your career? You know, obviously you don't have any gigs live lined up in front of people, but what are you doing right now? You're writing? Are you doing remote performances?
Yeah, so I've been working a lot actually during this quarantine. I've been writing a lot. I've been, some is just me writing by myself, some co-writes. I've also been doing a lot of live streaming and, you know, like virtual concerts for people. And I also started doing this thing where I felt bad that I couldn't do all the requests that people were saying on, you know, the live stream. So I decided, hey, you know what? You know, because we still all got to make money during this time, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's been really hard. So I was like, okay, not only would it be a cool way to just have some extra, you know, whatever for food and you know, gas and whatever, but also I really do like to make people happy and to please people. So I was like, all right, so this is cool. So I was like, just give me $25 and I will send you whatever cover you want, whenever you want, and a personal message for you.
Oh, that's really cool. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. You know, I
So
feel
I'm doing
like,
that.
so if we look at your career, you know, I'm focused on the one thing that brought this show together, which is something you recorded during the COVID quarantine that got you 3.2 million views. Absolutely
Right.
amazing. Everyone I talk to, they're telling me that it is an opportunity to hone in on their craft,
Mhm.
and you know, become better musicians. You
Oh, for
know,
sure. Yeah. Oh,
and
I
that's the thing.
totally agree with that.
So there's, look, we don't want this to happen. It stinks that it's happening.
Right.
People are being harmed and killed. I mean, half my
Mhm.
practice is being affected by this because all my clients are dying. It's horrible. But for
Right.
those,
It's devastating.
but for those, it is. But for those of us who are fortunate enough to have our health, and the only problem in our lives is that we're staying put, which is not a big problem to
Right.
have. You
Right.
know, you make the best of it. So for you, you had, you know, not a career defining event, but something that really boosted your career during this.
Right.
The
Oh yeah, no,
collaboration.
definitely huge, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you
Um,
guys, you filled the sound space with just, you know, just the two of you. It was fantastic.
yeah. Thank you.
Very cool. So I want to thank you for joining us. This was really a lot of fun. I feel like the
Yeah,
universe
thanks
put
for
the show
having me.
together. Oh, thank you for doing
Yeah,
it with
and that's
us.
the most relaxed like interview slash thing. It's the most relaxed thing I've ever done. So thank
Oh,
you
good.
for
Well,
that.
that makes me happy. And believe it or not, we've been on probably 40 minutes. It feels like 5, if that.
Yeah, that's insane. You weren't
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, I told you that before the show. You
Mhm.
know, that my favorite is I had a buddy of mine who's a producer in Hollywood. He said, I'm not doing more than 15 minutes. And we said, we're up to 75 minutes. And neither one of us had realized it, you know, because you chat. It's just two people chatting.
Yep.
So thank you again. This is Dave Cohen on Guitar Tells. We want to thank all of you folks for watching the show. We want you all to really work hard to be safe. We will all get through this together, and let's all appreciate each other. Have a great night.